Hey everyone, welcome back to the video portion of the podcast. I'm going to do a quick segment here because, we just got back from Puerto Rico, 2-week trip, and I'm going to recap that on the full audio portion of the podcast. But there's something that happened, and there's something that's kind of disgusting me right now, and it's always tricky because there's no win, right? It's a lose-lose when you decide that you're unhappy with society. You're unhappy with social media. You're unhappy with people being people in a world where a lot of the times when I do these type of conversations, or these speeches, we're examining something like the Houston shooting, self-defense or not self-defense. We're looking at the Brittany Griner release. What was that really all about? The first part of that, I said my case. The second part of that, I recanted everything I said in the first part, or most of it. But it's always hard when we speak out on what we see happening on social media. And I use social media just as much as anyone, obviously. And so I'm prepared for the negative comments. I'm prepared for all the nasty that comes along with this. But when I was in Puerto Rico, that's when we had this thing with the Titan submersible, with the 5 people that went down. I mean, everybody knows about it, but I'm going to give you a recap anyway, historically speaking. And we lost sight of it. And within a day or two of this story popping up, we already had memes out there. We had all these funny GIFs, memes, all this stuff talking about the submarine. James Cameron, famous director, came out and said it's a bad idea. He wouldn't have signed off on it. It was a poor design. Then we found out what we all feared is that this thing was gone. It imploded. Everybody inside died. But there's still all this stuff on social media making fun of this situation. And I'm not trying to be higher than mighty, but I think it's a really sad case. It's a sad example of where we're at in society, where we're at in this culture, how desensitized we are at all this stuff that goes on, to where there's not even a time to bereave. There's none of that. It's just immediately, this happened, haha, let's make jokes, let's see how many memes we can make out of this thing. Let's see how much fun we can make out of this. And I had said something on hard parking violations, which is the Facebook group for the podcast, and got into it with a few friends. And a lot of my friends are doing this stuff too. And I'm not going to call them out personally for doing it. This is where we are. This is where we are in society. But the thing with the police officer last year who slept with like 5 police, destroyed social media, smeared, cyberbullying. I wouldn't be surprised if she killed herself. She didn't, as far as we know. But that's the type of stuff where people just take and run with it. There's no chill. And it made me wonder, we're so desensitized now at all this stuff, between all the school shootings and all the other things that happen. We're just so desensitized. Where I don't want to say we've lost our humanity, but we've definitely lost our empathy and our sympathy. And I'm not really blaming social media for this, because people are people whether social media exists or not. And I don't have TikTok, but I had a friend say, you should see all this stuff on TikTok. I was like, I don't have to see this stuff on TikTok because I see it on Instagram. I see it on Facebook. And think about this. In 1986, I pulled it up just to be factual here. Most of you weren't around then. I mean, let's just call it like it is. Most of you weren't even born, or you were super young. I mean, I was in grade school in 1986. The Space Shuttle Challenger broke apart 73 seconds into flight. All members of the crew obviously dead, all 7. And the world grieved. The United States was brought to its knees. And we still talk about that. Not as much now as we used to, but for years, every year on January 28th, we talked about the disaster that was the Space Shuttle Challenger. If that were to happen today in 2023, are we bereaving? And this isn't everybody. Some people they get it. It's too soon. There's that whole thing, too soon. But I don't think that we bereave. If we shoot up a space shuttle right now and it blows up and people die, rich people dead, astronauts dead. And I don't know what we're doing anymore. And again, I don't call out my friends who do this. I've said something to one or two of them, like, look, man, I don't look at this stuff. It's not cool. That one was funny. I saw one that was funny, but I don't spread it. I don't send it. I don't understand what's going on. But I could promise you that if that were to happen today with the space shuttle, it'd be the same deal as a submersible, this Titan submersible, poor design thing. And I'm not here to talk about the differences in who we choose and choose not to bereave. Sure, there was a migrant boat full of hundreds of people, 600 or 700 people that sank. I think as of like June 30th, they've recovered maybe 100 people. They've alive. They've pulled up even more dead, and there's still hundreds missing. So it isn't an outcry thing, but it's so. Thousands of migrants die every year. Literally, look it up. I did look that up. And it's not that we don't care, just no one ever talks about it. But as soon as this high profile thing goes down and we spend all this money on the news trying to find this stuff for science, it goes down and everyone makes fun of it. It's just weird because at the end of the day, people died. Whether people died, trying to find salvation and a new life on a migrant boat, or people spent millions of dollars to build this submersible Titan thing. They go down to the Titanic and it implodes and they die. It's a sad day. It's a sad part of society where we make fun of that stuff. And I know I've been saying the same thing over and over and over. That's really all I have to say about that. Guys, tell me what you think in the comments. Is it fair to just immediately jump to the comedy that is social media and making fun of this stuff? Or is it foul? The Hard Parking Podcast, a little bit of cars, and so much more, available anywhere you get your podcast, or check it out at hardparkingpod.com.